This is my Squier Jazzmaster Vintage Modified, $299 from Sweetwater. I want to say before I even go any further that I love this guitar. Um, One of the best $299 I've ever spent on a guitar. It has it's unique from other electric guitars. It has a unique sound, some unique features, and some unique playability. Um, but it works really well in the situations that I use it for, mostly blues and blues rock. But I think it can be pretty well adapted to other styles. Um, First of all, the guitar is made in Indonesia, um, and typically, if I buy a $300 guitar from Indonesia, I expect to be doing some work on it. That's not the case in this guitar. The fit and finish was very good. Um, if you can, I don't think my iPhone video here is going to give you a really good detail of the quality here. But if you look, the frets are beautifully done. The neck has a vintage tint on it, on a flame maple. It's a slight flame, so it makes me feel like it's more authentic than some of the fake flames you see around. Has Kluson style tuners that work very well. Has Duncan design pickups. They're pretty faithful to a Jazzmaster with maybe a little bit more overdrive. Um, the Fender pivot tremolo that's used in most of their offset style guitars. Um, and it has the famous Jazzmaster rhythm switching circuit. All that really is this switch right here in the down position. In the up position, you have a separate switch for rhythm only. It gives you volume and bass and gives you a rhythm tone. In the down position, you have your regular guitar control. So that's a lot louder. There's one major problem with the guitar, and I have to mention this before I go any further, and that's the bridge. The standard Jazzmaster bridge, and this is true of vintage Jazzmasters, American vintage Jazzmasters, any Jazzmaster you have, you're going to have some problems with the bridge. And it's the bridge design itself. If you look here, the string angle going from the tailpiece to the bridge is just too low. And it causes buzzing, it causes a loss of sustain, and it causes strings to move around on the bridge. It also doesn't, although it is floating, in other words, it moves with the tremolo, it really doesn't stay in tune very well. I did a couple of things to overcome that. The first was a fairly easy fix. I shimmed the neck with a thin credit card type of thing. Put it in the neck, which raises the neck and allows me to raise the bridge and create greater angle. That helped to a large degree. I then put on a Mustang bridge, which also helped to some degree. Then I broke down and I bought the Mastery bridge. This is a bridge made, I don't even know where it's made. I think it's made in England. It's fairly expensive, but it is amazing. I can't say enough for this bridge. It transformed this guitar from a good guitar with a little problem, to a great guitar. Let me go through some of the sounds that you get on this guitar. It's as I've said before, it's a unique sound. It's brighter than most guitars. You can of course roll off some of the brightness, but to get the true tone, I think you really need most of that brightness. So I'm going to start with the middle position guitar. It's my favorite position. It's what I use the most. It's very bright. It's noise canceling to an extent. There's still some noise, but not anything that I can't deal with in a normal situation. So this is what the middle position looks like in its normal mode. I have the volume all the way up. I have the tone all the way up. I want to point out that the sustain on this guitar is really exceptional. And this isn't set for very much overdrive. It sustains beautifully on all the strings. Also, very clear sound in the bass, on the bass side. I'll give you an example of that. In the bridge position, you can hear there's more noise in it. Again, you learn to work around that. If you're a Fender person, you kind of know. Maybe someday I'll add noiseless pickups, but I love the sound of these, so I'm not going to change it. Here's the bridge position. Now the neck position, probably the most average sound, more typical of some other guitars. Back to the middle position, and I want to show you, as with most guitars, when you roll off the volume, you lose a little bit of tone. In this case, you lose a lot. When you turn it down here, this is the middle position. See, I've lost a lot of that bite. However, it's something very interesting I discovered. When you turn it from 10 to 9.5, you don't really lose much volume. You just lose a little edge of that brightness, and it makes it useful for some other tones. And the same thing applies with the other two positions. Now we get to the rhythm position. Again, you just throw the switch, and I'm now in the rhythm position. I have the neck pickup with a capacitor that rolls off more of the highs. So you've got a somewhat bassy sound for rhythm, more jazzy. Maybe that's where the name Jazzmaster comes from, because otherwise it's not a very jazzy sounding guitar. Now, if you crank this position, which is the way I use it, I can use the volume knob to turn down for rhythm. I like this as an extra sound. It's the neck pickup with a capacitor to give it a little more woolly sound, and I get a really nice old blues sound out of it. I'll give you an example of that. And that's about everything I can tell you about it. Again, it's beautifully finished. It's got a 25.5-inch neck, standard Fender length, a 9.5-inch radius with small thin frets, very nicely finished again. Three-tone sunburst. I think it also comes in candy apple red and white. It's a beautiful guitar. Spend $300, you won't be sorry.